got down the bottom, say something. I'm a little bit croaky. I'm still not well, but well enough just to come on and do a little mini read. So I just wanted to touch base with all of you, being I haven't been on for a few days, and some of the beautiful messages you've been sending through. I have had a really bad bout of asthma. I seem to pick up a bug from somewhere. I have no idea where, but and it, as the beginning of this, I always seem to get a virus at the beginning and the end of the season. That usually throws me into a bit of a tailspin. But I'm on my way up again. But yeah, it's not the nicest thing. All right, let's see what the fairies have to say to you today. I'm guessing the bell didn't go off for you guys either today because nobody's joined me. But you never know. Maybe you've all got busy, gone back to work, gone back to your lives. So we'll draw a card from the Fairies Oracle and then a little card from the Wings of Wisdom. And then if you come on, I'll have a little chat before I go. So, hey, Lauren, how are you going? Okay, no bell. That's what I thought, because I was sitting here for ages and that's what I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't been on for a few days and they've taken the bell away. Well, not really feeling 100%, but you can see that I've got more colour than I had yesterday. We got the fairy godmother out. Could do with one of them at the moment. Still a bit croaky, but I'm much better than I was, I can assure you. So it's interesting, isn't it, how the bell doesn't go off sometimes? Really strange. You take her too, please. I get it. Okay, the fairy godmother. Let's just have a look. There's quite a lot of write-up on her, otherwise I'd have read the whole thing. Sari offers last-minute rescues. When she turns up in our readings, good things may well be happening that we don't think we deserve, or that we do deserve but haven't thought to ask for. Almost imperceptibly, she teaches us about giving and receiving unconditionally, helping us to open our hearts to love and acceptance. She sometimes showers us with abundance. Keep an eye out for unexpected good fortune, especially when you thought you saw bad luck heading your way. Remember to say thank you by passing a kindness on to someone else. Practice a little fairy godmothering yourself and see how enjoyable it is. Well, that's really nice. So it looks like something nice is coming someone's way today. So that's lovely. A little bit of fairy godmothering never went astray. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know that what I've had is not the same thing. I think that this whole few weeks has been really exhausting for me, quite personally. And it's really funny because something I looked up the other day and it was saying how how exhausted you can become when you're empathic if there's a lot of negativity around. And I thought, I don't really take the negativity on, but it's pretty hard to avoid, isn't it? The only thing that's pretty amazing, hey Scott, how you going? The only thing that's really amazing is the fact that Australia's come up with some sort of preventative or block for the COVID. And it's a puffer. And it apparently, oh, look at me. It apparently blocks out the virus. So that's what they've come up with at the moment. So hopefully there is something going to be available for people. So that's good. But it's been a bit, except for Victoria. So Victoria spiked yesterday with 19, the day before 15. And New South Wales has sort of been about the 3 to 5 mark. And it's sort of a bit of a worry that it's still so prevalent down there when we're all running with the same set of rules. So you've got to ask yourself, why is that? Hey, Gigi, how are you going? because we all have the same rules. So what are people doing differently in Victoria? Are they ignoring the rules? Maybe. Maybe they're not adhering by the 1.5 metres. I don't know. But New South Wales is going really well, because after the marches and things, I thought we might have a little bit of a spike, and we didn't. We had a tiny little spike after Mother's Day, I think it was. We had a little bit of a spike. And since then, we've been pretty good. So hopefully, this is really interesting. I'm shuffling the cards. Yeah, can I tell you something? I went past the protests in Wollongong. And I mean, as many of you in Australia will know, Wollongong's a sort of reasonably big city. It's an ex-industrial city. So it's still quite a big city. And there were quite a lot of people marching towards the centre of town, which is a plaza. And there was a group of security people, a good 8 or 9 of them, who obviously were there to police the community there. And they were all hugging and couldn't have cared less. And I was like, you're supposed to be role modelling behaviour to others, and then you're just doing that. So a lot of people were wearing masks. So, okay. So we have the card of the flamingo coming out here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Victoria. I think there's a number of things that could be possible, but if Sydney can get it under control, which is the most populated city, why can't Melbourne? And I thought maybe it's because there's a lot of I don't know. I don't really know what to explain it. Yeah. It's really sad, because I know they had the outbreak at the meatworks and they had the outbreak at a kindergarten, and maybe that's what started it all off. I don't know. Anyway, so I have the card for the flamingo, and it says it's about authenticity, nourishment, and individuality. And the affirmation is, my beauty is unique and inspirational. Don't feel much like that today. Okay, give yourself permission to find your own way to live. If you do not feel like you can be your authentic self, check what influence you have allowed into your mind and your life. Do you need to change your spiritual diet in some way so that you're taking in more physical, emotional, and or mental nourishment? Don't be afraid to show your true colors. When you allow the real you to be seen, others will be able to recognize your beauty and grace. Don't hide yourself or deny yourself what you need to flourish, including a wild and free heart. So that's beautiful. So your messages are there today. Yeah, some people are what they call asymptomatic. I do not have COVID. I had a sore throat and asthma. And it's just starting to break a little bit now. So hopefully it's on the way out. Yeah, some people with COVID are what they call asymptomatic, which means they don't have any symptoms. And I know that person who took it in the aged care home said that she just had a bit of a runny nose and hadn't thought any more of it. So I probably should be going and getting tested to rule it out. But the trouble is, my daughter-in-law, who works in childcare, went to have a test done last week with my little grandson, who's about 16, 17 months old, and they had to wait for 2.5 hours. And it sort of puts me off a little bit, because I think if you aren't sick, but you're going to be around other people who are, is there a greater risk in doing that? So it'd be nice. They probably should just drop off tests. You should be able to ring up and they should be able to drop off a test kit or something. Yeah, I wonder if people are still, I am feeling a little better, thanks, Scott. Not 100%, but a little better. I wasn't able to get out of bed. When did I get sick? Friday. I was very, very sick to start with, but no, I'm much better. I'm supposed to be going back to my job next week, in terms of we finished the project I've been on. But I don't want, see, they're doing car parks. That's what I mean. I think they should be doing that sort of stuff. Say, putting people into big places and bunching them up with other people who've probably been sick. And it's a lot of work for the staff too, because they've got to wipe everything down every time someone goes. Like, a lot of responsibility on them, which I think is really a little bit harsh. But Anyway, all right. So yes, so I'm supposed to go back to my real job, my mainstream job next week. Um, but I'm actually cleared to work from home till the end of June. So I'll carry on working from home till the end of June, and then I probably might work out of the office one day or something. Um, yeah, the doctor's appointments by phone are great, except for when you've got something like this and you really need somebody to check it out. The great thing about my doctor was because of this sort of thing I do at the beginning of seasons and the end of seasons, the doctor had given me a cortisone medication so that if I did get asthma, at least I had something on hand. But so far, yeah, so you have to go and pick up the script. So the doctor actually said to me he would give me the things and get the girls at the desk to send them out, and that was 3 weeks ago, going on 4 weeks ago now, and I haven't received them. And I rang them the other day and said I'm waiting on some mail to come out from the doctor, and they said, oh, that must be the post office. But I can't believe the post office would be 4 weeks behind. So I don't know. I keep thinking, maybe they're lower staffed, maybe they've cut back on staff because they don't need as many. But whatever's going on, I don't know. Things don't seem to be in every way moving along the way they were. You finally said okay to the flu shot and still they have none. I was really lucky. I did a ring around until I found someone who had the flu shot, and finally found one. But because of my risky asthma thing, I've been having flu shots for years and years. This one that I had this year was the first one I'd had a reaction to. So I had a really heavy going few weeks, I can tell you, because I had the same thing from the flu shot that I've pretty much just had, which is crappy. But anyway, I'm all good. Yeah, we used to have a lot of different immunisations as part of the work that we were doing for a long time. In government work, they pay for your immunisations. They encourage, but they don't force you. But when I worked in youth work, there was sort of this unwritten thing about having immunisations done because of working with, a lot of children. So there was always risks around Hep A and all those sort of things. So most of us had immunisations at some stage or another. It's cold here today too. I've had my heater going most of the day. My legs are really cold. I've got leggings on to try and warm my legs up, but they're still really cold. So yeah, I think that it would be good if we had a testing place to go. I really probably should get tested for the sake of getting tested. I don't really like the thought of someone shoving something up my nose and scraping at my brain, but I'm thinking if it was anything like COVID, it's possible. I went out a couple of times last week. I went out for dinner. I went out for lunch. I went out and had my nails done. Very possible. Everybody's trying to be really regimented, and you walk into places, there's stuff everywhere to put on your hands. By the end of the day, you smell like you've had a really good day at the pub because you stink of alcohol. But somehow or another, some sort of bug still got through. So, hey Moira, how you going? Um, yeah, the test, I don't know. The test it is very invasive, because they have to get right to the back of your nasal passage. Not really quite sure why, but I don't know. I can't explain that at all, because I would have thought that any snot would have been enough for them to, sorry, classy woman I am, any sort of mucus would have been good for them to pick up. But there's obviously the bug itself must sit in that space between the back of the nose and the throat. And I think they need to get in there to double check that. So it's so gross. Yeah. And I've known a few people that have had them, but I don't know anybody yet who has had COVID. But then, you know what, at the end of the day, we are really, really lucky in Australia. And as much as it's still a bit unnerving that things have got a bit crazy down in Victoria, for the most part, we've still only lost still. My heart goes out to the people who've lost people, but we've only lost 100. Other countries are still losing 200 and 300 up to 1,000 people a day. So in the whole scheme of things, we've kept fairly safe. And of the 100 we lost, a lot of them were in nursing homes and a lot of them came off the Ruby Princess. So I don't know if we've had many beyond those things. So oh, Lauren, you just sound like the perfect lady like me. It's me talking about snot and you talking about that sort of things. The sputum, blood and cheek swabs are hugely inaccurate. So I'm thinking, Gigi, that's why they need to get to the back of the nose into the throat to get that sort of the slimy stuff that sits at the back of your back of the throat. So Australia have developed, I put it up on my Facebook today, Australia have developed what they call a barrier spray for the COVID. So it's going into action very shortly. It's a preventative rather than an immunization, and it's in the form of a puffer, not a needle. So I'm thinking, because I kept saying I think they need to look for a preventative rather than an immunization, and it looks as though that's the way they've gone. So it's quite interesting. The swan that pokes your brain. I think you mean swab. So she goes swab. Lauren's in, no, Lauren's not in Melbourne. Lauren's in top of New South Wales or Queensland, aren't you, Lauren? I think I've asked Lauren before and I can't remember. Sydney. Oh, you're in Sydney. Oh, well, you're not far away from me, really, are you? Ah, rightio, because I met you, of course. That makes sense now. Yes, it looks really good, Gigi. They're talking about it. Let me just see. I'll get a little bit. Let me see if I can find it for you. And I'll read what they're saying. Just bear with me just for a moment. Here it is. Aussie research team may have found COVID-19 blocker. Australian researchers have reportedly made a global breakthrough on a new antiviral drug they believe can protect against COVID-19 infection. Monash University researchers have conducted modelling of the drug to show it has significant blocking against the virus that causes COVID-19. Researchers hope the drug, which could be administered by an inhaler, might be available as early as the end of the year. Monash University senior research fellow Tom Karaginaris said said he and his team had tested the way a designer molecule called an acetamide blocks one of the proteins needed to replicate the virus that causes COVID-19. Last month, German researchers published and I knew Germany were working very hard on this too, published new data on an improved version of an acetamide that they said worked more effectively in humans. So it's about blocking the triggering of the replication of the virus. The molecule stops the virus from replicating, which can stop the release of the new virus into the cells of the body. So let's hope they've got it. That would be really good. Yeah, I'm starting face-to-face now, Lauren. Oh, hey, Denise, how are you going? Jillian? A few people come in while I wasn't looking. Yeah, I've started doing face-to-face and I had people booked in last Saturday and I got sick, so that was a bit disappointing. It's funny, there's still this argument with the masks. They're still asking us not to wear them in Australia. They're saying they actually have more potential for you to touch your face, and that was the concern with the masks. So they're still saying the same thing here. So the only time they're asking you to wear a mask is if you are actually sick. But for this, we aren't wearing them still. You see, yeah, if you go outside, you might see one in about 20 or 30 people. Yeah, that'd be lovely, Lauren. It'd be nice to catch up with you again. So it's really interesting how around the world everybody has a different sort of focus on what is right and what's not. But at the end of the day, look at me, like I don't think I've done very much at all, and I've still managed to pick up some sort of bugs. So I don't know. I just think that, I've got to the point in my life where I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. You can't really avoid it too much. But the reason I like the fact that they are looking at some sort of preventative is because I love to travel, and I want to be able to go overseas again. And I am a little bit nervous about traveling into other countries if we're still very vulnerable. So in that regard, it would be nice. And I know that when they brought out the Tamiflu, a lot of people would take it before they travel. A lot of us seem to be, I don't know, I'm just seem to be a little susceptible to sickness when I travel. And I've come to the conclusion that because I'm a freaking workaholic, when I stop for 5 minutes to have a break, I think my body just goes into a little bit of a slow move and just decides that it's going to grab everything along the way. So I've had like a few times I've gone overseas and had really nasty bugs. So it would be nice to have a preventative for this one, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know, Gigi. They don't encourage us at all here to wear masks. Hey, Kavitha, how you going? They're still not encouraging us to wear masks. They're saying that the only people that need to wear masks are the people that possibly have already contaminated or possibly contaminated with a flu or bug. Yeah, Fiji and New Zealand, they reckon will open up for us first. So at least if we want to get away for a few days or a holiday, I'm hanging for the border to open between New South Wales and Queensland, so I can go to it for a visit up. Yeah, I'll go for a visit up to Queensland. Yeah, I don't know what it is, Gigi. Up until now, from here on inwards, I'm not ever going to get sick again. I keep saying to myself, I'm hammering the vitamins and taking care, but I don't know what it is. I bought a beautiful trip to Phuket, to the Marriott Hotel. Got it it was still very expensive, but got it very cheap, and picked up a tummy bug, a rotavirus or a norovirus on the plane going over from Australia. And by the time I hit the plane, it came on so quickly. So I was sick as anything on the plane. Well, there was nothing I could do. And then spent the first 5 days in the hotel, absolutely horribly sick. And so I missed out on that, never got the massages, never ate the meals they gave me. And I got to the 5th or 6th day, and then my partner at the time got it on the day I got better. So he was sick all the way home. So we had a terrible time. I talked him into going overseas. He didn't really want to go overseas, and I talked him into going overseas, which was quite interesting. So he was very angry about going overseas and getting sick. And people said, that's what you get when you fly to, these strange countries. I was like, hang on a moment. I caught the bug in Australia. I took it with me. I contaminated probably hundreds of people not knowing I was sick. And it was the worst virus I've ever had. I laid on the floor in the airport with a bag in my hand, and I could not do a thing. I swear. Everything it took me to get up off the floor. And I vomited for like 3 days, I think. And done a whole lot of running around in that time as well, because it just was the nastiest bug. But it was headaches and creepy skin, and so I didn't know what was wrong. When I came back, I actually had to go to a doctor there, and when I came back, they told me I can't remember if it's the norovirus or the rotavirus, whichever one affects adults. Yeah, I've done it. I've done that too, Lauren. Pushed myself to work through sickness, and I worked out a long time ago that was just foolish. It's just foolish. It really is. I remember calling the doctor because I got so sick and I had pneumonia and a really bad lung infection. And I'd worked all through it. And I remember thinking, this just isn't worth doing this. So I really try not to work now if I don't have to. So I like that, Moira. Chicken beaks masks. That would be a good novelty for people. Perhaps more people would would be good for that. Like they'd like to wear chicken face masks. I would do that. I've seen them like done with the skeletons and things like that. I think that's really cool. To me, that's the best way to get people to wear masks. Um, oh dear, too funny. Ross. Yeah, I think so, Lauren. I've got a very smart with that as I've got older. I used to think if you didn't sort of drag yourself to work, that you were somehow being disloyal or, and then I watched other people coming to work sick. And when I started managing, I'd be like, no, go home. Don't be here sick. You make other people sick. It's irresponsible. So now I realize that it's irresponsible. If you're not feeling well, don't go to work like it. It's not fair to put other people at risk. Pig snout masks. Yes, I like that a lot. Be very interesting to do that. That'd be really cool. So yeah, so I'm sort of really hanging to get away too. I miss driving. So I'm really looking forward to sort of hopping in my car and go and spend some time with my sister. I don't really miss going out too much, but I do miss having fun, that side of things. Like the dummies, Moira. Yeah, see, cute masks would be the way to go, wouldn't it? But those masks, I think that you're talking about, like the thickness and everything, is not what probably people are wearing here. Yeah, I agree with you, Gillian. The people here only wearing those sort of like low-level medical paper masks. But no, there's no push to wear them. We've just been told that if you're sick, wear one, but if you're not sick, don't bother. Oh, I know it. Yeah. My grandson had one that when he put the dummy in, it gave him a little moustache and a little beard, and that looked really cute. So I've seen a few of those sort of dummies, which look quite funny. Fourth time you've seen your twin's name today. Where did you see Ross? I was looking before, but I couldn't see where you'd seen it. That's interesting. Yeah, no, I haven't worn one either. I guess I bought them, and it took me ages, like the gel, the hand stuff. It took me ages to find a supply. Yeah, see, there you go, 2 to 3 minutes. So that's the only thing that we could get for a while there. And people were talking about making them as well, but there's just this whole thing about not bothering with them. So I don't know. I can't complain. Like I said, we've done so well in Australia. I was really upset to start off with. I thought our government didn't work quick enough, and that sort of bothered me. Especially when New Zealand was sort of so quick to go into lockdown, as were England, and England missed the boat totally, but they went into lockdown weeks before we did, and complete lockdown too. And they definitely missed the boat. Whereas here, it sort of was a bit of a slow process. And I was like, oh, we're just leaving it too long. But I'm really worried that our first wave was so, simple and so easy. And we got through that fairly well with sensibilities. But now I worry because people have got so lackadaisical about it that the second wave might be a bit worse. So we're not out of the woods yet. 100% cotton. Yeah. Non-medical. That's funny, isn't it? Because they say, Moira, that it doesn't protect you at all. So I don't know. See, the countries are different. Some countries have a 2-meter rule. We have a 1.5. But other things as well. I talk to people all over the world, and everybody has a different set of rules. So in Germany, the only time they have to wear masks in Germany apparently is when they're on public transport, because they may be close together on public transport. It's crazy. So everybody's different. But here we've been told it isn't necessary. Don't go to Victoria. I should think the borders should be closed off, Scott. They shouldn't have any borders open. In Queensland, they actually have borders. They have things across the street and police there saying you can't go through. You've got to have a pass to go into Queensland. So one would think that Victoria or New South Wales would be doing the same thing and stopping people from going through. But it would make you wonder because I think we had 5 in New South Wales yesterday. So, yeah, only trucks. At the end of the day, you're still taking a risk, aren't you? Letting people go through. But I know my brother works. He lives on the interstate, on the state line, and he does volunteer work. So he has to have a pass, like a written pass to go into Queensland because he volunteers with the elderly, taking them to appointments. So he said to me that they've got proper borders up. Yeah, exactly. Now you've got to carry a piece of paper around with you saying that you have permission to go over the borders. So it sort of seems strange that they're allowing trucks to do that then, because I didn't think anybody was allowed. But I guess a truck driver, for the most part, is on his own during the journey, but still a risk, I guess. Anyway, at the end of the day, like I always say, it only takes one person. I mean, we're figuring one person started it all off in the first place. So it's a mess. Yes, I agree with you. And it's not much better. Britain's having it really hard too. At one stage in Britain, they were losing 1,000 people a day. 800 to 1,000 people dying a day. They had nowhere to put the dead bodies. And my understanding is now they've got it around 200, between 200 and 300 a day. So they've got it down a lot, but they've got, trucks deliver food. Trucks are also transporting the dead bodies because they don't know what to do with them. It's awful. UK's really bad. I think Brazil's started off really good and then they went crazy. And one of the Scandinavian countries, it may be Norway, one of those two has spiked, and Russia. So, yeah, Spain was horrible. Spain and France hit it hard to start with Italy. So, yeah, that's what I said. Sometimes I think we're just really, really lucky that we have Sydney's very highly populated in a very small area, and they still got through this fairly good. So, Spain has opened up. See, everybody's starting to open up and we still don't have any, I don't know. It makes no sense to me. I figure it's only about the economy and it's about money and people losing jobs. And that is what the government is thinking of now. But you can't spend your money if you're dead. That's the way I see it. So I don't really understand that at all. But I guess for the people, that's what I saw on television, people arguing with people because they couldn't go to work and earn money. And people just arguing about why should they stay home when they should be working and making money. But again, you're still taking a risk, aren't you? Yeah. Anyway, I better go. I've still been on for over half an hour. I didn't want to stay for too long. I'm starting to get clogged up as I'm talking. So thank you very much for joining me. It's been lovely to catch up with you all again. I'll try and come on tomorrow, see how I feel. I'm still taking it a little bit easy till I get on top of this bug. No spend if you're dead. That's it. Can't do anything if you're dead. It doesn't matter how much money you've got in the bank, does it? Doesn't matter one little bit. Thank you, Lauren. I'm sure I will. I've started cortisone now, so I usually pick up after I've done that for a few days. Stay safe, everyone. Mwah! Take care.